Welcome to a new edition of Fourth and Pain, the only football and pro wrestling show to be hosted by an NFL player and a weight loss champion. With me, former Nebraska Cornhusker Adam Carriker.
Finally, Adam Carriker has come back to Nebraska.
Can you tell he's excited? And you know
excited. Hey, I'm so excited. I wore my Cornhusker socks. Can you see those, Chuck?
Look at that. Look at that with the red end.
That's how excited I am.
Look at that, man. Let me tell you something. This guy bleeds red, okay? He's a Blackshirt
literally, it's
through
red.
And through.
It's literally red.
It's former wrestling announcer, weight loss champion Chuck Carroll here. Welcome to this quirky show. Be sure to give it a follow at Fourth and Pain, where each and every weekday we tweet out new content 1 p.m. Eastern. And Adam, before we get going, want to take a moment, welcome a brand new audience going to be watching us now on Husker Max and hopefully throughout the great state of Nebraska, expanding into that Nebraska fan base, taking over global internet domination. We are. This is Fourth and Pain. And Adam, let's talk a little bit about what the show is. We say it's the only football and pro wrestling show to be hosted by an NFL player, weight loss champion. I used to weigh 420 pounds. You're an NFL player who played at Nebraska. Now on Mondays, Adam, we talk a little bit about pro wrestling. I know you get excited for that.
Absolutely.
On Tuesdays, Husker and College Football Day, where you will be doing the bulk of the heavy lifting. On Wednesdays, Redskins and NFL. Thursdays, we trot out the big guns, whether it be a Nebraska player, one of your former teammates, a current teammate on the Redskins. Heck, we've had Goldberg on the show a host of times. And on Fridays, we answer your questions during the family segment, also joined by Adam's wife at the time. So lots going on each and every day of the week right here on Fourth and Pain. But this is a Husker Tuesday with a little college football thrown in there. Adam, let's start with this. Nebraska, bye this week. Coming in next week, they're going to be facing Illinois. 3-1 difficult contest. You got, it's 7 games left on the season. I'm curious to see how you think this season will round up for the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
Yeah, we got 8 games left. Before we get into the upcoming game against Illinois, fighting the line now, I want to talk a little bit about what I saw on the rest of our schedule as a whole. This year, we've only got 2 ranked teams left on the rest of our schedule, where last year in the Big Ten alone, we had to play Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Michigan State, Wisconsin twice. I think the Big Ten wanted to introduce us into their conference with a little spank on the butt, and they kind of did in that Big Ten title game. Other than that, we've held our own. But the schedule the rest of this year is much simpler than it was a year ago. Now, we want to get into that first game against the Fighting Illini, Chuck.
Yeah, man, let's do it. 3-1 at home. Difficult contest. Does the defense show up? Do you win this game?
I think so. The Illini are 3-1. They're flying under the radar a little bit. Their only loss was to a very good Washington team who's in the top 15. They only lost by 10 points. I think we get this victory coming off a bye week, and I think we're ready to show some people what we can do, and I think we pull out a squeaker against Illinois. Going up against Purdue, who's a team that got blown out by Northern Illinois this past week, where people are not ranking them, but I think they're still angry about them being in the Orange Bowl last year, so they're underrated. Got blown out, but they're 1-4. I think we're going to get that victory at Purdue.
Powder puff team, man. And then you've got that bye week there, another opportunity for the Huskers to heal up, get ready. Then you travel to Minnesota, a difficult contest on the 26th of October.
That second bye week we have in a couple of weeks, I predict there is not a loss there. The following week at Minnesota on the road, who's actually a pretty good team, 4-1. Only loss was to Iowa, 23-7. So that's going to be a difficult contest. But I think we're going to beat Minnesota. The following game is in the following 2 games is when we take on those 2 ranked teams.
Yeah, you start with Northwestern at home on November 2nd. Then you follow that up with a road contest the next week at Michigan. This is the most difficult stretch for Nebraska on paper. How do you see this one shaping up?
Northwestern is going to be a tough team. They've spanked some teams they've played so far. They haven't had the toughest schedule. They're a top 15 team. Last year we had to come back from two touchdown deficit late in the fourth quarter to win 29-28. Great comeback victory led by Taylor Martinez. I think, though, Husker fans aren't going to like me for this. I think Northwestern's legit this year. I think they come into Lincoln, and I think for the second time in a row at our house, I think they're going to get us this year. Unfortunately, I'm saying the Huskers are going to go 9-3 this year in the regular season. I got to predict losses somewhere. I think that's going to be one of them, unfortunately.
All right, but then the following week at Michigan, the other ranked opponent, I mean, did they get it done there?
Now, originally, I said the Huskers were going to go 11-1. That's before the UCLA game, and I've kind of amended. I'm kind of redoing my prediction then, but this is going to be my final prediction no matter what happens moving forward. I said they would lose to Michigan. That would be their one loss. After seeing Michigan squeak by a terrible UConn team, squeak by an Akron team who's a lower MAC team, I think Nebraska is going to go in there and get some redemption for getting spanked a couple years ago in the Big House, and I think they're going to beat a ranked Michigan team and come out with a victory there.
And then you've got Michigan State at home November 16th. Definitely not the toughest team. I'm sure Kirk Cousins would disagree with me there.
Well, hold on. I forgot about this Michigan team. You tried to legitimize them before our segment. You're trying to pump them up, and then I found out, you being the Notre Dame fan that you are, it's because Michigan beat Notre Dame.
That's true.
Notre Dame, you know what Notre Dame is? They're a warm-up game for the Alabama freshman football team. That's what they are.
Well,
so that doesn't help Michigan's prestige at all.
Do you know what Notre Dame is? Notre Dame is
I just told you what they were.
Notre Dame is a loss on Nebraska's schedule if they were scheduled to face each other. That's what that is.
You just made yourself a villain. You just made yourself a villain.
Hey,
all
baby,
Husker fans, tweet this man angry messages right now at the Chuck Carroll.
Whatever.
He's got like 2 followers. He's going to be hard to find, but you'll find him.
I'm just stating facts. I'm sorry, Nebraska. I like you. I'm trying to come around to be a Husker faithful, but I'm just stating facts. Notre Dame greater than Nebraska.
All right. Well, you've heard of bad Santa. You're the bad Catholic. So let's move on to the last 3 games here. I'm going to lump them all together because to me they're very similar. They're all teams that are 3-1, 4-1 right now. They're all teams that look good on paper, especially with their record. But I think there's a reason that Michigan State, Penn State, and Iowa are not ranked at this point. I think they're all going to be bowl teams. I think they're all going to be about 8-4, 7-5, somewhere in there. But I think we get those 3 victories. And I believe at the beginning of the segment, I said Nebraska is going to be 9-3 at the end of the regular season. And this puts them at 10-2 if you're a math major, which I'm not. But here's what I'm also going to say. There's going to be a loss in there somewhere that we shouldn't lose to a team that we shouldn't be losing to because inevitably that always happens to us. So I think that's how we get to 9-3 and to a bowl game. And then I'll make my prediction for the bowl game once I see who we're playing.
9-3. That's not altogether bad. No, it's not.
I will
bad.
say this. I will say this. There's an outside shot. We'll get to the Big Ten title game. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's probably going to be Northwestern this year. I believe in this Northwestern team. Even though I'm a Nebraska guy, they look legit to me.
Interesting. I do find it. For some reason, I'm thinking that Penn State game could be tough close to the end of the year, November 23rd. But we'll see as the season progresses where that winds up. Adam, before we run out of time, I wanted to address the other big story in college football here on Fourth and Pain, and of course that's the dismissal of Lane Kiffin at USC. And you had said earlier in the year that you weren't an advocate of dismissing Bo Pelini in the middle of the year, but lo and behold, this is exactly what happens to Lane Kiffin despite a 3-2 start. But they're 0-2 in conference. I'm just curious, man. Give me your thoughts. Lane Kiffin, should he have been shown the curb there at USC?
Well, should he have been shown the curb? I mean, he was fired from the Raiders. He bailed on Tennessee. Now he gets fired from USC. He's got a different track record. A lot of Husker fans want to know how this parallels to Bo Pelini. Does this change my mind on, could he possibly be fired in the season if things go poorly? Because previously I said that was ludicrous. The way I look at it is when I said that, it was ludicrous. It was right after UCLA, overreaction week, as often happens after losses. To me, you got to see what happens. If we go into Illinois and Purdue and we lose and we stink it up, hey, maybe. What I'm going to say is this. Bo Pelini, year after year, goes 9-5, 9-4, 10-4, 10-3. Lane Kiffin, as I just pointed out, his track record is much different. So unless we just Stinky and Rudy Poo stink it up out the barnyard the rest of the way, I think Bo Pelini is okay throughout the rest of this year. And I think he should be because of his track record being different than Mr. Kiffin's.
10 seconds or less. Lane Kiffin, damaged goods. Does he get another job at an elite school, or does he have to eat humble pie, maybe become a coordinator, or drop down even further down the ranks, take over some middle-of-the-road school?
His last 3 jobs, he got fired from 2 of them, and he quit 1 of them. He's going to have to drop down and work his way back up. He was the youngest coach in the NFL, so he has some promise. He has some talent, but he's going to have to work his way back up now.
Yeah, but he was coaching for crazy Al Davis. And Lord knows, if you get a chance, just go on YouTube and Google Al Davis.
Just win, baby. Just win, baby.
Google Al Davis, Lane Kiffin press conference and sit there and enjoy yourself for about a half an hour. But anyway, we about to wrap things up here on Fourth and Pain. Be sure to give the show a follow at Fourth and Pain. But before we go, Adam, let us welcome this new audience by giving something away. Okay, so what we
I
have
like it.
here is autographed cleats of you and your Nebraska teammates. I believe we're talking about Roy Halou Jr., Will Compton, maybe even Niles Paul.
Niles Paul and myself.
all
They are
friends of
used,
the
by
show.
the way. They are used. Enjoy
Wow.
the smell.
Well, yeah, so there is that. Just get them bronzed. Anyway, here we go. For the cleats, the offseason leading up to Adam's sophomore year at Nebraska, he won what prestigious award? To answer that, just go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/4thandpain. Like us, then message us with your answer. One winner will be chosen at random, and we then will be shipping them a pair of autographed stinky cleats. Good luck.